everybody, it's Doug, the Fledgling Brewer. I just wanted to say hey, it's the first video post I've done. I'm working on some racking of some beer today and cleaning some things. Just wanted to show you, homebrewers, I think, a lot of us don't have space to work. We feel like we're sort of compromised on our space. It's certainly the case here at my house. I mean, we have a decent sized house, but we're still, struggling. I just wanted to show you the bathroom tub here. We've got some children's toys in there. You're not the only one who's marked up your tub. I'm sure the wife loves that. Right now I'm getting some dirty water on the floor. Here's corny keg. I'm disassembling that on top of the toilet. Got just some stuff soaking right now. So anyway, you can see that it's just something I'm sure you all are dealing with, and I just wanted to post that and say, I feel for you. I know what it's all about, and we all are in the same kind of boat. We dream for that day of having our own setup where we can just spread out and have all the equipment at the ready, and brew in a relaxed atmosphere where everything is already on hand, and we can clean easily. I would love to get a 3-bin sink, like a 3-drain sink, where I can put my sanitizer, PBW, powdered brewery wash, cleanser, water, and sanitizer in one in each bin would be fantastic. So one day that's going to happen, but for now we just deal with the cramped circumstances. I'm working on a Belgian wheat beer today, moving that over from primary, which it's been in primary forever. I'm hoping there are no autolysis flavors. Just, how it goes, time gets away from you. But and the other thing is I'm trying to rack another primary IPA into a carboy to dry hop it with some Bravo hops. Okay, so this is the first beer we're going to transfer tonight. It's a Belgian wheat beer, clone of Blanche de Chambly. I picked up my notes here, and you can see, if you look close, it's hard to tell from that distance, but I actually brewed this beer on the 28th of June, so it's been in the primary almost 2 months, which is not good. You don't want it on the yeast that long, so kind of a bad example here, but anyway, we're going to check it out today, see how it's done, and transfer it to a keg. First wheat beer I've ever brewed, and it was a very active fermentation, which I had heard would happen. I had a blow-off tube on it downstairs in our basement, around 65 degrees, and it fermented very aggressively for probably 4 days, and then I put it just an airlock on top, and it eventually settled down. I brought it upstairs because I had heard it on a radio show about finishing off Belgian beers, trying to finish them off at a higher temperature to make them clean up after themselves a little bit. Tried that and ended up totally croising again. I had to put the blow-off tube back on. It went crazy again. So as you can see, there's still some remnants on the top here. I kept cleaning the airlock, but there's some remnants of stuff getting on top, and anyway, so we'll see. It's actually bubbling now that I've started up again after 2 months, so I don't know if it's possibly infected. We'll see. I'm about to take the lid off, and I'll give you a good look in there once I do that. So here are the innards of this bucket. You can see the kreuzen was all the way to the top. It doesn't smell infected to me, but again, I don't have a ton of experience. I've brewed about 15 batches, and I don't think I've ever had like a truly infected batch, so there's a chance I may not know if I see it. So it doesn't look, I don't see stuff on top. Seems like it's probably okay. So I'm going to take a hydrometer reading here, and we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so I've taken the hydrometer reading. You're just going to have to sort of take my word for it. The camera won't get close enough, but the reading ended up being about 1.010. So that's actually pretty close with probably a temperature adjustment. It's about 75 degrees, I think, in here. So with the temperature adjustment, it's probably close to about 1.012, 1.011. The recipe here on my notes called for a final gravity of 1.013. So we're actually pretty close on that. Not that that necessarily matters as long as the beer tastes good. That's kind of what John Palmer says in his book. But anyway, it's kind of a good measuring stick to know how you're doing. I just ran downstairs to the kegerator and I filled up this keg with CO2, purged out the O2, so hopefully we will avoid oxidizing when we go from the bucket through the tubing into the keg. So it's just a little thing I didn't used to do actually. I didn't used to try to purge the air out of the kegs, and my beers sort of would have a cardboardy flavor to them. So I tried that and it seems to have helped. I don't know, maybe it's a mental thing, but it seems to be helping. So the other thing I was going to talk about for transferring is if you don't use an auto siphon, you should. It's really helpful. Basically, it's a tube within a tube. And see, it had a siphon going right then because I use it to clean that way. And so and then there's a tube coming out of it. Basically, it's like a rack and cane with tubing on it. However, it lets you just with one crank. Let me see if I can do this here with one hand. One crank, start a siphon. You know, I initially had one of these auto siphons. It was very handy, but it cracked. The outside tubing cracked, and it wasn't effective. It just didn't work. Physics-wise, it would not work because of the air. The crack would let air out, so it wouldn't make a vacuum or start a siphon, which is the whole point. So I had read Charlie Papazian's book, How to Brew, when I first got into the hobby. Of course, great book. Everyone, it's kind of a touchstone. Everyone knows this book. There's a chapter in there on siphoning called The Treatise on Siphoning. So it tells in there, you know, it makes it kind of a romantic notion to actually siphon your beer using a rack and cane and a tube, or you know, just tubing or whatever. So when that auto siphon broke, I decided to try to get just a regular rack and cane and a tube, and I did, and I tried that for a while when transferring my beers, and it worked. Most of the time. Sometimes I was having trouble, and you would lose siphon in the middle of a batch transferring. It became a real pain. So for the price of about $7 or $8, I got an auto siphon again, and I've just been happy ever since. Like I said, they clean really easily because you can put it in a bucket like this and just crank away on this, and it will just force liquid through the tubing and everything, and it's a really great way to clean. It makes it easy to get in there. You don't have to get brushes in your tubing or brushes into the the plastic and possibly scratch the inside of it. So it just uses the force of water and some soaking, and you can get it pretty clean. So anyway, enough of that jibber jabber. I'm going to finally just start transferring some beer here. So next time I come back, you'll see some action finally. Okay, so you can see the beer's transferring. It's very, very light beer. I just tasted the sample in the hydrometer. Has some little flavors to it, but it's very, very light. So it'll be interesting to see what the carbonation does to bring out any more of the flavor. Here's the second beer of the night I'm going to transfer. It is IPA that I brewed with a friend, my friend Eric. We brewed it on the 7th of August. So it's been in primary for about 16 days, which is maybe a few days long, but anyway, it should be okay. Here you can see the inside of the beer. Not much krausen on this one, compared to the wheat anyway, and the batch size, as you can tell, is pretty low in the bucket. This batch turned out to be way shorter. The final volume turned out to be way shorter than I had hoped, so it's really about just over 4 gallons actually, so which means invariably it'll be the best beer I've ever brewed in my life, and there'll only be 4 gallons of it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a hydrometer reading, so we'll see how close this one came to the recipe, which is supposed to be 1.019. So let's see how close we got. Okay, so this beer ended up, it still has to go through secondary fermentation, so it could possibly drop a point or two. But as of now, it a little over 2 weeks into fermentation. It stands at 1.022 and probably 1.024-ish with temperature adjustment. So again, 1.019 was the goal of the recipe anyway. So it's it's getting there. It's not quite there, but again, maybe we'll lose a few points in secondary and get a little closer to the final gravity. Haven't tasted it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and transfer, and then I can taste it afterwards. That way the wort isn't the beer actually now isn't exposed too long to the air. So here we go. You can get a little better visual of this one since it's not going into a keg, going into the Better Bottle Carboy. You can see, trying to do it gently. You want to keep, of course, keep the tube underneath the underneath the beer level, so it does not introduce oxygen and spray a lot. You want it to kind of create a gentle whirlpool effect in there. And again, this one has a lot of stuff in it, so I'm still carrying over quite a bit of material into the next vessel, but it'll settle out eventually. Okay, I've moved into the kitchen now. You can see that the beer has been transferred into the Better Bottle Carboy. You can see it's kind of, like I mentioned before, it's kind of a short volume there. I wanted to let you know I just did taste the IPA. Still has to go through secondary and dry hopping, but it's quite good. There's a definite bitterness to it. It's got that kind of characteristic, West Coast IPA bite to it. So I think it's going to be pretty good, especially I'm not getting a ton of aroma, so the dry hopping will definitely help that out. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention is, let me put that down, I need to get my hops out for dry hopping. And here they are. I listened to Basic Brewing Radio podcasts. I'm sure some of you have listened to that as well. They had a gentleman on there who was talking about hops, and he mentioned that you need to get your hops out like at least 24 hours in advance of use, whether it be for boiling or dry hopping, and let them come up to room temperature, because that's when they will be most fragrant and most effective as doing what they do best, contributing aroma and flavor and bitterness. So I'm getting these Bravo, it's 1 ounce, 11.3 alpha acid percentage. Getting these out for tonight and letting them warm up, and tomorrow morning or tomorrow at some point I will put them in dry hopping into the Carboy, and we'll go, I believe, 10 days per the recipe, and we'll have some good beer hopefully. So that's it for this. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's been kind of ghetto and haphazard, this first one. I'll get more professional as we go, but I just want to kind of get one in the books and say hey and introduce myself. And yeah, it's been great. I hope to share a lot more things on the blog and kind of just learn more about beer with you guys and help learn from you, learn with you, and yeah, that's kind of what it's all about. That's what the Fledgling Brewer was started for. I don't pretend to be any great brewer, and I just want to learn a lot about it and enjoy it. And so that's kind of just, I wanted to create a blog that shared that sentiment. So anyway, hope you guys are doing great and have a good weekend or week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.